Hello, welcome to Wisdom from the Word for Saturday, July the 18th, 2020. We want to look at Proverbs 3 verses 1 through 10 this morning, and I'm going to read it to you out of the Amplified Bible. Proverbs 3, 1 through 10 says this, "My son, do not forget my teaching, but let your heart keep my commandments. For length of days and years of life, years that are worth living, and tranquility and prosperity, the wholeness of life's blessings, they will add to you. Do not let mercy and kindness and truth leave you. Instead, let these qualities define you. Bind them securely around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart, and so find favor and high esteem in the sight of God and man. Trust in and rely confidently on the Lord with all your heart, and do not rely on your own insight or understanding. In all your ways, know and acknowledge and recognize Him, and He will make your paths straight and smooth. He'll remove the obstacles that block your way. Do not be wise in your own eyes, for the fear of the Lord, the reverent awe and obedience of the Lord. Don't be wise in your own eyes and turn entirely away from evil. It will be health to your body, to your marrow, your nerves, your sinews, your muscles, all your inner parts, and refreshment, physical well-being to your bones. Honor the Lord with your wealth and with the first fruits of all your crops. Then your barns will be abundantly filled, and your vats will overflow with new wine." You know, the passage we have before us contains two of the most beloved Proverbs out of the whole book, verses 5 and 6. We probably are more familiar with them in a different translation that says something like this: "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He'll make straight your paths." You know, a Bible commentator far more astute than I am, a fellow by the name of Derek Kidner, has observed that these two verses form the main thought in the passage that we've read this morning. And that main thought being dealt with is the idea of a wholeheartedness in our commitment to the Lord. Two words in the phrase catch our attention. The first word is trust, and the second is lean. The word trust, we're told, had the idea of lying helplessly, face down in complete submission, confident of safety and security. The other word, lean, rather than expressing the idea of inclining on something, is better thought of as rely on or support oneself with. In other words, we're encouraged by these verses to throw ourselves wholeheartedly on the Lord, confident that He'll guide us in the way that we should go. But immediately questions come to mind. In what way are we to trust the Lord? What is it that we're to trust Him about, and how is our trust to be expressed? These answers to the questions are before and behind the two beloved verses. In verses 1 through 4, our trust is seen to be rooted in sound teaching. Verses 1 and 2 say to us, "My son, do not forget my teaching, but let your heart keep my commandments. For length of days and years of life and peace they will add to you." In other words, our reliance on the Lord is not in some vague idea of Him or some non-specific feeling of confidence. No. Our trust is in the things He's told us. Our confidence in Him is mediated through the commands of Scripture. And the writer of Proverbs tells us that we're to take this teaching seriously. Verse 3 tells us, "Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart." Kidner observes that these striking expressions for glorying in and meditating on and acting by the principles we are taught are memorable. In other words, we take the Scripture to heart so that we can rely on and support ourselves with the truths that God teaches us in His Word. Well, that's all well and good, but how is this wholehearted trust in God through His Word, how are we to act that out and live it in our lives. And that's where verses 7 through 10 come in. These verses give us instruction, first in the personal realm of verses 7 and 8, and then in the material sphere in verses 9 and 10. In the personal realm, we're encouraged to approach life with an attitude of humility. Listen to verses 7 and 8 again. Be not wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and turn away from evil. It will be healing to your flesh and refreshment to your bones. Humble yourselves, we are told. Take the Lord and his commands seriously, and it'll be healing to your body and healing to your soul. You know, a moment's thought will affirm the value of this advice. Who doesn't realize that those who flout God's laws through dissolute living bring sorrow upon sorrow down on both their bodies and their hearts? So, generally speaking, the way to a life of blessing comes through taking God's commands seriously. It comes by taking them to heart. Verses 9 and 10 take us into the sphere of the material. Honor the Lord with your wealth and with the first fruits of all your produce. And then your barns will be filled with plenty, and your vats will be bursting with wine. I suppose all of us are astute enough to recognize that these verses are not some sort of an investment scheme guaranteeing wealth and prosperity. No. What's in view here is a generalization of God's blessings to those who put honoring him first in their lives. So this is what the meaning of these verses is. And the moment has come for us to ask the question, so what? Who needs to hear these truths? Well, first of all, anyone who feels that a wholehearted commitment to Christ is some kind of deluxe version of Christianity needs to hear that it isn't. It's what normal Christianity looks like. When Christ becomes so real to you that you find yourself lying face down in complete submission to him, total reliance on his grace instead of your power, then you're actually beginning to live the life that God blesses. Secondly, anyone neglecting their Bible, feeling that a vague notion of spiritual things and occasional blessed thoughts and blessed feelings is enough, will be missing the privilege of knowing Christ intimately. Again, this is not what the Lord has in mind for his people. He wants a full, rich relationship with his children, as Jesus expressed in John 14:21. Jesus said, whoever has my commandments and keeps them, it's he who loves me. And he who loves me will be loved by my Father, and I will love him and manifest myself to him. It is having Christ's commands, knowing his word, that's the first requirement of intimacy, and following through on them. That's how we get to know Jesus personally. Finally, it's in keeping his commands that completes the circle that brings one into a relationship with Jesus based on personal acquaintance rather than mere intellectual knowledge. In this verse, Jesus committed himself to manifesting himself to anyone who knew his commands and followed through on them. What a privilege. Who wouldn't want to hang out with Jesus? Thanks for joining us again today. Stay safe.